Hi everyone, welcome to PHE2PHP Principles of Public Health Practice. I'm Dr. Karen Anderson. I'm a lecturer in the Department of Rural Community Health on the Bendigo campus and the coordinator of this subject among many others. So welcome to Principles of Public Health Practice. In this subject, we'll be getting you to explore, excuse me, that's a bit of thunder, the values and the principles which underpin public health practice. We'll also be exploring the range of strategies that we use in public health practice. There's a variety of disciplines undertaking this subject. So this semester we've got students in the Bachelor of Health Science, we've got paramedic students from education, sports development and also nutrition taking this subject. So we'll be getting you to explore what public health looks like within and across those particular disciplines. This subject is a blended subject, so there is both an online component and a face-to-face component for each week. I'll be taking you through briefly the LMS site just to show you what's going to happen on a week-to-week basis. And so I'm just going to share my screen with you all so that you can have a look at that LMS site. So this is the main page in LMS, and as you can see, there's a bit of a welcome, a bit of an introduction and a welcome to the subject. As you scroll down, you'll find here the tab which has the subject learning guide. So I'd encourage you all to have a look at this before classes start in week 1. This contains important information, including contact details for staff members. It gives you a week-by-week breakdown of topics. There's a bit of information about your assessments, and most importantly, it outlines your intended learning outcomes for this subject. So that is, it tells you what you should know and what you should be able to do upon completing this particular subject. There is also some information in there around things like academic integrity, and also where students can go to get support in relation to academic skills, etc. So please have a look at that before your classes in week 1. You'll notice in the LMS site that there's a communications tab, and so we've set up some discussion boards here. So if you have any questions of staff or even perhaps of each other, we would encourage you to post them to these discussion boards. As you'll see, there's one there for Bendigo. There is also one for Bundoora as well. Staff will be looking at these regularly. You know, we might take us a day or two to reply to you, but we will be checking it. If we need to communicate with you, then we will be using the subject news and announcements board to do that. So just keep an eye on these discussion boards, and if you've got any questions, please post them to here. If you've got a question that is more personal in nature, so for example, it might be a question about your specific enrolment, it might be that you need some advice around some special consideration or perhaps an extension and whether you're eligible, then I would encourage you to contact me directly via email. My contact details are on that main page of LMS and also in the learning guide. When you are emailing staff members in this subject, it would be really great if you could include the details of the subject code, your name, your ID, your course and your campus, so that we know who you are and where you're coming from, and include in the subject line of the email an accurate description of what your email is about, so that we're able to respond much more quickly to your queries. So you'll also see that there's an assessment tab. So this provides an outline and will provide your instructions and marking guides and submission links for all of your assessments. The information for those will be going up very shortly. You'll have all of that, access to all of those before the semester starts. But this just gives you a run through of those assessments. There is some useful resources here. These are just additional things that we think students might find interesting or that might be useful for assessments, and we constantly update this. If you come across something, please feel free to share that with us, and we're more than happy to upload that onto here. And then you'll find your weekly content. At the moment, only week 1 is available. The other weeks will become available shortly in the lead up to semester. So when you open up each week. It is really the same run through, the same structure for each week. There's always an introduction, and sometimes there's something for you to watch or to listen to. We provide you with a required reading. So this reading will form part of your first assessment that you'll be doing in class, and that will begin in week 3. There's always some content, and that's a combination of perhaps videos or audio recordings or readings, and then there is what is called a sway, which has more detailed content for that particular week. You'll also find an activity that you'll need to complete, or maybe sometimes a couple of activities that you'll need to complete. Some of these are assessed, some of them are not. So you can see that for week 1, there is a task for you to introduce yourself to your workshop group. And to talk a little bit about what public health might look like for your discipline. As you can see, there's no marks attached to this. If there were, you would clearly see that that's labelled with the weighting of those. The other thing that we provide each week is an opportunity for just to check your knowledge for that particular week. So that sometimes that's a quiz, sometimes it might be an activity. It's not always an activity that requires you to post anything to a discussion board. It might be an activity that you can just complete in your own time, or there might be some questions just for you to think about as a way of just being able to check your understanding of the week's material. You'll find also details about the workshops, so we include what you need to bring to the workshops, and if there's any other additional resources, then we'll upload these before the workshop for you. We also will provide activities or resources that we've used in the workshop and upload those after. So we're quite aware that, for example, that we've got education students who go out on placement who can't attend workshops. So we provide those resources for students to be able to follow up after the class. And then some weeks it will vary, but there might be extra resources or additional follow-up materials for students. And that will vary from week to week, just depending on the topic. So each week will follow that same format. Just in terms of a few housekeeping issues, Allocate Plus, we're working on some clashes here in Bendigo, so we'll be in touch with students about that. If you need to make a change in Allocate Plus, please try and do that yourself. If not, you might need to contact a staff member, so either myself or Susan Chong, who is the instance coordinator in Bundoora. You may be asked to find somebody to do a swap with, because the workshops, particularly here in Bendigo, are full, and so we can't create any more spaces, so you might need to find somebody to do a swap with. But please contact us and let us know. In terms of who do you contact for what, so general content, so if you've got questions around the general content from your workshops or the online material, we would encourage you to contact your facilitators, either talk to them in class or email them or communicate with them through LMS. If you've got an issue or a query around the administration of the subject, so for example, as your enrolment or special considerations or extensions, then you can contact either myself or if you're in Bundoora, you can contact Susan Chong. If you've got a query about perhaps a link is not working in LMS, or there's a resource that you can't access, then please either post that to one of those discussion boards and I'll check that, or you can email me directly. But as I said earlier, please provide your name, your student ID, your campus, and also your course, and that will ensure that I can respond appropriately. So I think that's really it in terms of what I wanted to say for this particular recording. Just one probably final thing is, one of the questions I often get asked is, how do we do well in this subject? And there's a couple of things that you can do. One is complete the online materials before you come to class. Attend class, and don't just attend but also participate and actually engage in class. We know that students who do the online work, who come to class and participate in class, do much better than students who don't. And if you're coming to class and not participating, that is, it's actually quite unethical to just be taking and to not be giving back to your colleagues. So we really encourage you to contribute in those workshops. In those workshops, we encourage you to ask questions, to seek clarification, to draw upon your own experiences of health, and to bring along examples of things that you might find in your readings, or things on social media or in the news that might relate to things that are coming up in class. So we really encourage you to make those workshops as interactive as possible. And so if you're doing all of those things, then you should do really well in this subject. We have a lot of fun teaching this subject. It's very diverse. It's a great group of disciplines who are quite different but also have some similarities and opportunities to work with each other. And so this subject is an opportunity to explore what that might actually look like. So I guess that's probably all I wanted to say at this point. In the lead up to the start of semester, please familiarise yourself with the LMS page. Please look at the subject learning guide, and don't forget to just have a quick look at week 1 content and complete those activities. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. And I really hope that you enjoy this subject as much as we really enjoy teaching it. And I hope you all have a wonderful semester.